Well, I have an update from the Traders Association in Uganda, who say that they are not ready for any riots come Wednesday when President Museveni is swearing in. Of course, we should remember that traders of these arcades especially are some of the people who face a lot of challenges every time there are riots, because they lose property. Some of these rowdy people go through their shops and steal items. Basically, it's a very bad time for people in arcades when there's any kind of riot whatsoever. So the traders are calling upon Ugandans to please do not cause any kind of havoc when it comes to Museveni's swearing in on Wednesday. However, we should also remember that police is on guard. We should never forget Martin Okoth-Ochola's statement when he said people are going to regret why their mothers bore them to this earth. So, as you plan to be rowdy, as you plan on being all over the place, that they remember that security will be very tight, to the extent that they have made it a public holiday on Wednesday. It's a public holiday, and of course I think Eid al-Fitr comes the next day, so we have two public holidays in a row. But this one was made a public holiday, I think, to combat the people that are trying to cause havoc around Uganda. So if you're out there and you are planning, or you know anybody who's planning, you know some of you are friends with these people who stay in the gangs, please warn them earlier not to try and cause any havoc, because police is ready. And as we are seeing, groups of people are coming out to refute claims that there are going to be that there is going to be any kind of riots. So that was it from the Kampala Traders Association. However, I do have a story also from the Uganda Tourism Board, which has had its 6th edition of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. Of course, it was virtual this time around due to the coronavirus pandemic. This year's expo was held virtually as UTB targeted foreign markets to restart the country's tourism hit badly by the pandemic. Tourism sector is one of the most affected by this pandemic, because we no longer have tourists coming into the country to view places that we have, natural resources that have been blessed, that we have been blessed with as a country, that were attracting thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people in the tourism sector. Right now, it is closed down. As you can see at the Sheraton Hotel in Kampala, the virtual happenings of the UTB Expo that attracted over 2,000 participants, whereas the number of exhibitors also increased by 192%, and hosted buyers also moved from 50 in 2020 to 438 right now in 2021. More than 70% of the hosted buyers were from Uganda's key and emerging markets, like, of course, including USA, China, UK, Germany, Netherlands, Japan, Canada, Switzerland, Australia, and India. Of course, the great result from this year's ceremony is a testimony that in the coming days, we will each have a target of our own comfort zones. Of course, ventures into sometimes unknown to accelerate the recovery of some of the lost money. Of course, Migereko, who also retired from UTB's commission, says investing in domestic expos as well as attending foreign expos will cause us a hike in Uganda's economy. Of course, consistency is the name of the game. Consistency is the name of every game, not just the tourism game. Consistency is the name of every game. At whatever you do, you must be consistent. Of course, we have the United Nations World Tourism Organizations in their March 2021 outlook, which projected a cautious recovery from the dampened first half of 2021 to a subsequent growth in the second half of the 2021 arrivals. Of course, we do wish them the best, because the tourism sector has really greatly been affected. And efforts to try and talk to the tourism minister, Chiwanda Godfrey Subi. I do have a chat in my phone where I'm convincing him to give us an interview here at STV, and he blue ticks me sometimes. Other times he replies and says, okay, next Tuesday. When Tuesday comes, his numbers are off. Honorable Godfrey Chiwanda Subi, I am not going to give up on this interview, because there is a number of things that we have to discuss as a country here at STV. So every time you see my messages, make sure you reply them, because I've been on blue ticks for like about a week now, which is not nice. Anyway, right about now, I get into my topic of discussion, where President Museveni, of course, has been in power for the last 35 years. Guys, I do not know any other president apart from President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. That does not mean I'm 35 years. It just means I was born in his regime. Of course, he has so far been in charge of Uganda, and his manifestos have been interestingly underpinned by attention-grabbing catchlines, but they don't differ much in substance. Of course, in 1996, when he organized elections for the first time, having ruled for an initial 10 years, Mr. Museveni's manifesto read and said, tackling the tasks ahead. This was in 1996. Just like we had the Hakuna Mchezos and stuff like that, this one said, tackling the tasks ahead. And you would think that such a catchline would help us, of course, start to tackle the tasks ahead. But 35 years later, we still have some of these tasks lagging us behind. I don't know if it's the people who work around him. I don't know if it's the presidential advisors. We do have a number of those, including some of the musicians that we've seen coming up and taking up these positions of presidential advisors. We do have the Catherine Kusasidas, the Jennifer Full Figures, and all these people that are around him. I don't know which kind of advice they are giving our president, but 35 years later, we still have some of the issues lagging around us. So today's question is, do you think that in the next term, President Museveni will do much of a difference here in Uganda? So, whereas in his 2016 manifesto, which saw Mr. Museveni getting his ending term, the principal theme was taking Uganda to modernity through job creation and inclusive development. This was in 2016. He was planning to take Uganda to modernity through job creation and inclusive development. Inclusive development, I'm trying to think that if it was inclusive development, then as a Ugandan, as Karo Tumwine, for example, I would come out and say, hey, can we do this as a country to make sure that we move forward? And my suggestion would then be heard and taken into practice. But we've seen year in, year out, it is the government that has decided all these things. Their ideologies, their works are being carried out here in Uganda. And I've not seen the personally, this is on a personal level, guys, so don't blame me for it. I've not felt like I've been included in decision making when it comes to the country's, happenings. Well, I do hope that our leaders, the new leaders that you elected for yourselves, are going to try and implement and push for the implementation of some of these things like inclusive development. Job creation, that one we talked about here on the first show, I think last week or that last 2 weeks. We talked about the fact that Museveni's plan is to create jobs as many as, was it 70 million jobs? Yet the work potential of Uganda is 25 million. So I wonder who will do this other work. I think some of these things, it's been poor planning that has not helped us solve them very, very quickly. But in 2016, that was his term, and it was the slogan of the Swahili saying, Chisanja Hakuna Mchezo. That is where it came from. And it was, of course, supposed to be a term for no-nonsense, like you hear the term. Of course, Mr. Museveni adopted after taking an oath that captured people's imaginations, thinking things will be different from the previous terms. Do you think things are different from the previous terms? Of course, we are getting to a segment of the calls. Call in and let us know what exactly you think. The number is on your screen, and you can talk to me and tell me exactly what you think. Do you think that there's been anything different ever since President Museveni said he's tackling the tasks ahead of us? That was in 1996. We came down to 2011, where he still promised and said, we came down to 2001, sorry, where he said consolidating the achievements. I wonder which achievements we were consolidating at the time of 2001, because if we remember exactly, in 2006 as well, he said prosperity for all was the slogan of this of the country. And prosperity for all, you would imagine that by the time his 5-year term ended in 2006, all of us would be rich, or all of us would be prosperous somehow. But here we are, still looking for the prosperity here and there. And we do hope that, by the way, what do you expect? What would be your envisioning? What do you imagine a new leader in Uganda would do. Let's say, for example, President Museveni serves his next 5 years term, and probably after that, we get a new leader. What do you think this new leader would do what do you think this new leader would do to help us achieve at least a middle income status? Call in and let me know what your thoughts on this whole matter is. Of course, the World Bank classifies the world's economies into 4 groupings: low, middle, upper middle, and high income statuses. Uganda however, is still in the low income status, and for a country to at least qualify to the lower middle income bracket, which Mr. Museveni says was his target, its gross national income, or GNI, per capita should not only exceed the threshold of $136 or which is 3.7 million shillings. It should have high quality livelihoods with peace, with stability, good governance, a well-educated and learning society, and a competitive economy capable of sustaining growth. I'm waiting for your calls. I don't know why you're not calling yet, but I will continue to give you an update on what's on this particular story. Well, in 1986, a young man called Museveni went out to the bushes, fought for power, and when he marched back in 1998, he decided that elections were the best way to go in order to achieve what he called liberty to express people's power, and that's how it started, to vote for people to go into power. Well, he won those elections, he won the next ones, and 35 years later, he is still winning. He's such a winner. So in 2020, for example, the World Bank declared that Tanzania, Uganda's southern neighbor, had been elevated from the low income bracket to lower middle income status after the country's GNI per capita increased from $120 in 2018 to $180, which is 3.8 million shillings in 2019. Tanzania's elevation was a product of the country's solid economic performance of more than enough. Hello, caller. Hello. Yes, good morning, Sebo. Kale Sebo, nawe webale kulaba.
Kakati.
Yes, Sebo.
Tulina gye tusuubira kipya kigenda kubeerawo kubanga tusobola kugamba nti okujjidde emyaka 35 ebikulemye byonna mu egyo emyaka ogenda bikola mu kino ekisanja eky'emyaka 5. Still we are going to experience the same corruption, embezzling of the government funds, malwaliro nga temuli ddagala, ebizibu ebya bulijjo. Singa bakwata ku bantu baabwe bennyini abali enguzi bo bennyini, n'obuzibu tebasobola bagamba nako kubanga they are from the same family.
Okay.
Yeah, so sisina kyensuubira kyonna kigenda kukyuka.
Okay, webale nnyo endowooza yo ye talina kyasuubira nti kigenda kukyukawo, and he has reminded me of some of these things. The issues that we have are the very same issues year in, year out. I've not heard of any new issue that has developed. It's always amalwaliro temuli ddagala, like he has said, then embezzlement of funds. Hello? Caller, hello?
Hello, ono mwezi gwa Shirafu.
Yes, yogera konyo?
Nze ndaba tewaliwo kigenda kyuka kubanga
amanya go nenjo kubidde Sebo.
Mwezi gwa Shirafu wame nankulabye.
Yes, Ashraf, nakulabye. Ogamba tolina kyolaba kigenda kyukawo?
Kubanga emyaka 35 wabanga asobodde kukolako ebyo bye tulabako. Ng'ova mu kibuga n'obanga ava mu kyalo. Ekyo ndabira ddala tewaliwo kigenda kyuka era kyaba alina okukola. Ekisanja kirekera abaana abato batwale eggwanga mu maaso. Webale tuwere.
Kale Sebo, webale kulaba First Show. Banaye omulamu ogwaleero ndowooza muwulidde abantu bagamba tewali kigenda kyukawo, which of course I can't blame them. It is out of frustration. It is out of all these, after all these years, we still have the same, very same issues. Amalwaliro temuli ddagala. Embezzlement. Hello? Yes, embezzlement of government funds. Hello, caller. Yes, Sebo.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You are talking to Fazil.
Yes, Fazil. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay. Kale,
Yeah.
tesa nafe.
Nze kyendowooza kiri kimu. Muzeeyi singa adda wansi n'atulaba wakati kyensuubira ebbanga lino lyonna lyafugidde eggwanga. Bingi byayize era bingi byalabye. Wabula alina okurivayizinga ategeere nti abantu bange be mbadde nkola nabo ebbanga lyonna ki kye bakozeewo. First of all alina okulaba kiki ekyetaagisa then alabe problem solving. Bw'aba ng'atudde bulungi n'ategeera eggwanga lino lyetaaga ki. Mu bufuutifuuti singa muzeeyi afuuka Magufuli mweno ttaamu yeeno ayambale ekyambalo ky'omugenzi Magufuli abeereko omukambwe. Ebintu ebyo byonna bikwata soft ky'oba olaba osanga ng'ebintu byonna tebitambula ki tebitambula bulungi. Kati bw'atuula alabe ki ekyetaagisa baminisitazi bano basobola okuddamu okukola. Agezeko alondeko ku baana abato. Abaana abato bangi abasomye tomanya osanga abantu bangi abalumirirwa okukola ky'okuzimba eggwanga lyabwe. Ateetemuko ku baana abantu bano abamu bano abaludde mu kintu kati osanga nga bali awo tebeefiirayo oli yafuna dda talinamu kuyaayana konna konna. Kati adde awo atuule apulaninge alabe engeri eggwanga gye lisobola okutambula mu maaso. Eno ttaamu yeesembayo singa avaayo n'agamba nti kankwatagane n'abavubuka kankwatagane n'abantu abali mu opposition ate namwe abantu abali mu opposition togaana kukola na muzeeyi.
What's the probability? Hello? Hello? Kale ssebo, yogerako nnyo ssebo, amanya ne gy'okubidde? Yes ssebo, teesa naffe.
Tewali kyakyayiza kwongerako kuba otunuulira ababaka ba palamenti olaba bakansala abakigira ku madistrict nabo beeyongera obungi, balodi kansala nabo ne beeyongera. Kati ngamba emisala egiba gigenda mingi ate amagye akyatondawo n'otunuulira n'otunuulira buli kimu ngulaba tewali kyayiza kwongerako kirala. Ate nga n'abapasiteri nabo bakyaliwo tewali kyakyayinza kwongerako mpozi nga ye yasaze okukibaku naye n'agamba kampole nga aseemu omulala.
Yes ssebo, bwebale nnyo endowooza ennungi eyo. Endowooza zammwe simbi. However, if we think about them critically, are we sure that, for example, if say Museveni is watching the first show and he says, okay, let me put the views of the first show viewers into practice, is there any change that's going to happen? Singa tukozesa endowooza zino tuziteeka mu nkola kuba bw'olaba the past 35 years zino endowooza twaziwaayo dda. I believe he's heard of them over and over again, but there must be another challenge that we are not giving enough attention. However, we do hope for the best after the swearing in of President Museveni's 6th term in office that is going to take place on Wednesday. Of course, STV Uganda will be live bringing you all the updates